Welcome to a video going over some of the ways to patch the Cold Mac module by Whimsical Raps in his Mannequins series. This takes direct inspiration from the Patching Cold Mac guide by Martin Duderoff on the Muffwiggler forums. Many thanks to him. It is an amazing guide that will go over some of the basic uses of this module that are going to be illustrated. Now, in line with Mr. Duderoff's naming conventions, as the given nomenclatures for the jacks can be confusing, we will just default to what he and other wigglers seem to be calling them. As such, they are labeled as follows. Survey up top, then the left in followed by fade, and right in, offset, Or1 and Or2, and1 and and2, slope follow, crease and location. Then on the outputs we have the respective left, right, or, and, slope, and crease out. Then Mac, which works as a unity output. The Mac effectively transforms the entire module into a VCA that is capable of distorting itself, as well as self-routing. Each block is lined up into a diagonal row, which makes for quick visual reference. All outputs in Cold Mac are designated by shading, hence follow and location provide CV out. In order to visualize what the normal output CVs look like, I went ahead and hooked up Cold Mac to the bus on my shared system. First off, the left output is normaled as a negative 5 volt to a positive 5 volt range. That is controlled by survey. You can also alternately control that given the fade input. And the opposite is true of the right output, which at full counterclockwise is positive 5 volts and at full clockwise is negative. Moving on, the OR output starts at 0 volts and as you approach full clockwise becomes a full-on positive 5 volts. The AND output, on the other hand, will start at negative 5 volts and wink out to 0 volts as you approach full clockwise. The slope output starts and ends at positive 5 volts with a 0 volt dead zone centering itself around dead noon. And finally, the crease output will start at approximately negative 3 volts or so, and then snakes in a negative, positive, negative fashion as you approach full clockwise. To start our patching, we're going to show how to crossfade using the left and right inputs. This can be done with either audio or CV signals. As survey is swept clockwise, the output will fade between left and right channels. If only one input and output is used, then silence will emit from the other side. Now for comparison, using the input is right and the output is left. And changing the output from left to right now. This input is the formant from the Mangrove. The black cable I'm going to insert is the square from the Mangrove. In order to better differentiate the sounds, I've plugged the square first into the triple Wavefolder by Toppobrillo. Both of those are being controlled by the multed out dual ADSR. Now using that dual ADSR to control the survey. One of the greatest utilities ColdMac offers is audio and CV output at the same time. By unplugging Survey and instead using that voltage in the fade jack, we can now use Survey to control voltage from the additional outputs on the right side. Offset provides an input that is stacked on top of left and right and is unaffected by panning in any way. In this instance, a ripples that is self-oscillating is being used. The CV out from Crease is providing the pitch for the oscillator. Beyond mere audio mixing, the possibilities for creating dense, harmonic, or spectrally exciting sounds is increased further by the use of multiple inputs. Moving on, we now showcase logical mixing using Or2 And2. At first glance, the sound is very similar to the left and right panning. However, what you're doing is consciously raising and or lowering the voltages to the point of disappearing or reappearing, providing a more harmonically complex sound. Or2 and And2 function similarly to the fade jack next to the left input. They provide a floor instead of a full envelope though. This allows for autonomous control of outputs. That sense of independence and autonomy in each of the output and input blocks appears to be central to Whimsical Raps' idea of surveillance. That is, the ColdMac can function as a sort of CV and audio panopticon through which all can be controlled. Slope has full wave rectification, useful primarily for CV, but also capable of doing some minor wave shaping. With Slope and Crease, the Survey knob will do absolutely nothing. Follow will follow the wave going into Slope and give you a somewhat laggy CV output. Finally, the Crease input gives you a single channel of wave folding, creasing, flipping, and general wave fuckery. This is a sine wave from the DPO. On the right channel is the same sine wave through the Toppobrillo triple Wavefolder. Location is very similar to Follow in that it is a lagged CV output that is controlled by the wave going in for modification. However, this is a non-linear output and appears to be up to twice as laggy as Follow, which means you can get some very interesting slew effects. All of the possibilities mentioned for the module and more will be explored in upcoming videos. Stay tuned to this channel for a series on patching ColdMac.